Hello, my name is Michael Cho, and I will be talking with you today about my personal teaching philosophy in regards to learning theories. If at any point you'd like to see my sources, they're posted below or at the end of the video. We as a society have been teaching each other for centuries. May that be through storytelling or, as we now have seen it, the traditional classroom. This probably looks familiar. It was easy to find. I simply searched classroom on Google, which actually raises an interesting issue. Unfortunately, at some point we got here and stopped. We've been teaching in the same classroom since the time of this guy, John Dewey, the father of modern education over 100 years ago. Now, in the past century, a lot has changed. 100 years ago, the Eiffel Tower was the tallest structure on Earth. Abstract artists like Pablo Picasso and Salvatore Dali were new to the popular scene. Babe Ruth was still on the Red Sox. If our world has changed as much as it has, education should also be making progress. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like we are. But before we can adjust or fix our educational system, there are a few essential questions we need to ask. The one we're going to investigate today is, how do we learn? When it comes down to it, knowing what, why, and how we learn is a difficult task. In fact, this has been a widely debated subject for a very long time. B.F. Skinner, a behaviorist, thought we're conditioned into learning and we trained ourselves to be able to do everything we do. Learning occurred in the body, i.e., I grab this fork the same way every time, and when I do it without thinking, I've learned. As a music teacher, I use this a lot in my classroom. Every time I start a piece of music, I bring my hands up and indicate start here. And the students have learned that I need them to start playing here. And on some level, that could explain a lot of learning. But it's too small and doesn't really work when thinking about larger order learning tasks, like making a video for a class. There are too many skills that go into it for me to take the time to really practice everything that needs to be learned, from clicking to editing to filming. To take the time to not think about something every time, it's too much, takes too long, it's too small. So we move to another lens of learning, made famous by Piaget and Vygotsky, cognitivism. Cognitivism was the idea that learning happens completely in the mind. We use things called schema to naturally group things together so as to make sense of our world. To Piaget and Vygotsky, learning had occurred when you could talk about it, being able to say 1 + 1 = 2 every time. Now, I could say that 1 + 1 = 3 every time, but that would be wrong, and I would have learned it wrong. Cognitivism makes some level of logical sense. If I can say the knowledge, I knew I learned it, but it's not perfect. It doesn't explain behaviors and habits like putting my right shoe on before my left, or the fact that I don't think about should I walk away when I smell something bad. I just do it. So neither of these theories really seem to fit, because in my opinion it's a third theory that combines the two and adds a bit more. This theory is called situated cognition, and I would call myself a situated cognitivist, though I'm far from the first. Situated cognition defines learning as doing. There is no separation between your mind and your body. Your learning is a result of your experience. That means that learning how to play an instrument involves playing an instrument. I could read all the books in the world about the mechanics of how to play a trumpet, but until I go and do it, that's all inert knowledge, and I don't know how to play the trumpet. If I were to pick up a trumpet knowing nothing about how it works functions or how to play and tried, nothing would happen. I wouldn't be able to play. I still would not know how to play the trumpet. Not until I do both would I be able to play. Situated cognition seems to explain why doing this gets my students playing at the same time. The students and I co-constructed a shared understanding of a particular signal, the downbeat, and through complementary behaviors among the students, they learned to start playing at the same time. Learning didn't occur instantaneously, but occurred through repeated performance of the behavior by the students and I. Additionally, everything in the learning experience matters. Those complementary behaviors are a consequence of each student and the teacher perceiving the sounds in their environment, the fingers on the keys, the notes on the page, my arms, and coordinating a response. Which is why situated cognition also explains why I can't just walk into any room in the school and just do this. They're not going to know what I want. The learning experience was in the music room or holding their instruments. Without those anchor points, they don't know what I want. The learning was situated or contextualized there in the band room. As a music teacher, situated cognition makes it easy for me to tell if learning has occurred and to what degree. At all times, I can see what students are being instructed to play on my score. If the students play what's written on the score right multiple times, then they've learned it properly. If they make a mistake, obviously they have not. Situated cognition means they have to be able to do it, not just think about it or just play some notes. They have to go together. So this raises the question of what does good teaching look like to me? It should include things like anchored instruction, like actually using magnets when learning about magnetism, or participating in an election to learn about the election process. They can't stare at a board absorbing knowledge and do nothing with it. Unless they use it, they will only be learning it for a test, and then the knowledge remains inert, and they will probably forget it as soon as the test is over. Good teaching means science experiments in the classroom and playful learning with shared experience that the students can interact with, touch, feel, do. Environments where mistakes are not taboo, but steps to learning how to do it right. An example of this is using a piece of music from the jazz swing era to teach about the jazz swing era. Teach them what it means to have straight eighth notes versus swung eighth notes and why that was so important to the style. Have them experience and play it, make mistakes, and then build on those to know what is jazz swing. Is this jazz swing? Or is it this? Not only does this teach that lesson in a more in-depth way, it creates the potential for the transfer of knowledge from one concept to the next. For example, if you've ever seen the movie Karate Kid, you know that Mr. Miyagi teaches Daniel to paint his fence, wash his car, and so on, seemingly not teaching him karate at all. But later we found out that he's been teaching Daniel to block in much the same way that he paints a fence or washes a car.
Show me wax on, wax off. That! Show me paint a fence. Show me.
The two actions seem to have very little in common, but the experience of painting the fence transfers to how Mr. Miyagi wants Daniel to block. In real life, this could be teaching a student to project their voice for a solo song in music class, which transfers to speaking louder during a business presentation. The experience aspect that situated cognition demands helps create opportunities for this transfer to occur. Assessing in this situated cognitive lends itself to more qualitative results. This would mean, how well can the student swing in style? Does the student know what notes to swing? And do they show that in their playing? Given a piece of music, can you identify if the piece is supposed to be swung or not? Seeing as learning is doing, assessment is simply, can it be done and to what degree? Giving a quantitative grade means, out of 10 notes, how many are played correctly? Each note equals 1 point. Now, let's return to the initial statement that schooling hasn't changed since Dewey's time, and how do we fix that? And I believe we change our educational system through anchored instruction and playful learning. Learning by doing. If we teach our students what, where, why, and how, they will learn not for the test, but for life. They'll be able to transfer those skills to other subjects and tasks. Learning won't be inert, but situated in the task, transferable to anything else you are learning in life, potentially. You can't change education through one thing, but I believe situated cognition would have a butterfly effect. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful learning experience through life. Thanks.